Is force feedback overrated? Well, due to recent events, I think the answer is yes. Allow me to explain. I had more or less quit sim racing until I saw it. It's that time of year. Holidays, celebrations, and fear. Zolder 23 is the one race of the year I can't miss. Except for that one year when I missed it. And it's for charity, so please check it out and consider donating. Last year I not only did an amazing flip,
That was actually self-assist.
but I also set a personal record of 659 laps. Together with my teammate, we did 799 laps, so naturally I'm aiming to beat that by doing 800 laps. Solo. After signing up for the race, I immediately start practicing for the race. Wait, I really wrote that in the script? That doesn't sound right. Okay, anyways. I start practicing for the race. Immediately I notice something odd about my car. Whenever I start sliding, I can't seem to save it. Which, you know, it's very odd for driving gods such as myself. Nevertheless, I press on. And whenever I spin out, I curse iRacing for their tires.
Fix your fucking tires!
And not my driving style. And eventually I start to get some pretty decent lap times in. And I just kind of forget about that odd feeling in the steering wheel. But a week later, me and a few fellow car nerds decide to try this new thing called sim racing at the Sim Racing Center. And for the first time ever, I get to try a direct drive wheel, a Fanatec DD1 to be specific. And immediately I think, wow, there's so much feedback here, there's so much detail, the curbs are curbing, the rumble strips are rumbling, and the force feedback is force feedbacking. Very swag indeed. But more importantly, I can feel the front tires when they start to understeer, and I can catch the slides when the car starts to slide. So the next day I'm back on my own rig and I'm using the Extreme Sigma Chad Logitech G29, which is the one I've had for 4 years now. And at this point I start to think, wow, this force feedback is seriously weak, almost non-existent effect. And I tried to tweak and tune all the settings, like in-game and on the G-Hub thing as well, but to no avail. So feeling a bit frustrated, I decided to do something fun. So I hop on assetto corsa to do some drifting. I hop in my trusty RX-7, I hit the throttle, I slide into a turn, I let go of the wheel, and I'm preparing for it to spin in the opposite direction so I can catch a slide. And then it finally hits me. The wheel doesn't spin like it should. It simply returns to the center. The reason my force feedback feels so weak is because there simply wasn't any force feedback. There's just this centering spring force that returns the wheel to the center, and it doesn't actually have any feedback. I might as well have been using one of those bungee cord wheels that you can get from the jungle site. It turns out that Logitech latest G-Hub has an issue that doesn't recognize the force feedback output from the game. Luckily though, I did find a fix for it though, so I'll leave a link to that fix in the description if you're having the same issue. But basically after installing an older version of G-Hub, I finally had force feedback again. And honestly, it didn't feel that different from the Fanatec DD1 that I got to try the day before. But to be fair to Fanatec and the DD1, it wasn't tuned by me to my personal liking, and it was on a different game, so that probably has a huge difference. But more importantly, with the return of the force feedback, I would surely be faster than the lap times I set before, right? Well, yes, but actually no. It took me at least 40 laps before I was finally able to beat my personal best time that I set without the force feedback. And I only beat it with about like 0.2 of a second. So for outright speed, it doesn't seem like force feedback is actually any help. I mean, 0.2 of a second, it's not really comparable, that's almost nothing. So I think there's a serious possibility that if you get one of those like bungee cord wheels that doesn't actually have any feedback, then you could get pretty competitive. It doesn't seem like you really need the force feedback in order to have decent lap times. However, there is one noticeable difference. Although I wasn't like outright faster, I was a lot more consistent in those 40 laps. And when the car started to spin out, like I could catch a slide, and I could even kind of feel the front wheel start to understeer. So it would seem the only real advantage to force feedback is that it will help with consistency, and since you're not having to guess when you start to slide or when you start to understeer. And for that you don't really need like a $700 direct drive wheel. So overall, force feedback, it's kinda overrated. Having said that though, I have actually ordered a $700 direct drive wheel before I even tried the Fanatec DD1. So I guess there will be a follow-up video. Anyways, thanks for watching, stay safe and Merry Christmas.